right?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're back on today, and we have so far Levana and Amy. Hello, my beautiful princesses.
Oh,
We're warriors, aren't we, us ladies?
Yes.
yes, we're warriors.
Aloha.
Yes.
Aloha from Hawaii. Good to be here. Good to see you. Good to hear you guys.
Good to hear
Yes.
you, Levana.
So, Levana, what were you just explaining then about if you go to Hawaii, you've got to be tested before? Just explain
Right.
that bit
So
again.
so in Hawaii right now, these restrictions are just out of control. We're pretty much living in a police state, and everybody's in a state of fear and believing that our only solution to this problem is more testing, more testing, more testing. And you know, of course, we all know that the more you test, the more you're going to find the COVID-19, because these tests are completely fraudulent, and it's just going to keep driving up the numbers. It's really terrible. It's so unconstitutional, these restrictions on people's movement. And so in Hawaii, they've been implementing, anyone that wants to come here has to quarantine for 14 days. And so nobody's really been coming to Hawaii, but they just reopened on Thursday. But the catch is that you can come here and not quarantine if you get a test 3 days prior to arrival that's negative. But there's a couple of Maui where they're also, or no, it's the Big Island, but they're also demanding a second test upon arrival to prove that you're not a COVID-19 terrorist, so that you can be free to enjoy the island. And so the local people are also being subjected to this same thing. If you don't want to have to be on house arrest for 2 weeks, then you can get a test, but it costs like $150. And, you know, and most of the people here in Hawaii are totally struggling, and it's like we barely can even afford to pay for airline tickets just to fly in our island. And, you know, a lot of people have family on different islands, and it just makes it so difficult to even be able to go see your family, because if you're not going if you're not going to subject yourself to this testing, then you're going to be forced to quarantine. And I'm actually this nonsense. I don't care what, you know, I know that I am a sovereign being that has, you know, personal, I'm not gonna take no tests, and I'm not gonna comply. And that's what people need to be doing, because I don't know, it's just getting so bad. It's so terrible.
We knew that we knew they'd do this again, though, didn't we? We knew that the one we've just had was the beginning. We knew they were going to do it again. And to be honest, I got an email basically because I'm self-employed, and they're going to give more grants up until April next year. 2 more checks are coming for 3 months and 3 months. So it was obvious benefit side of everything, knows it before the public.
Oh yeah, right. And well, that's what you call appeasement. So they're even talking about in America giving prisoners in the prison system a stimulus check as well. And that is just absolute, what you call total appeasement, so that people don't rebel and don't revolt. You know, they're just trying to buy us off.
Well, that means that they've sort of paid me not to work for a year.
Yeah, they want you to be okay with not working and not having your freedoms, and the government's going to take care of me, so it's going to be all okay. And, you know, and it's just total socialism, and that's where we are.
It's not democracy, is it? That's not democracy.
No, it's not. It's terrible. And if you look at the you know, the World Economic Forum, all their articles and their website where they talk about catalyst for them to implement their Great Reset. And it's all about, they want to destroy the free market and destroy capitalism. They want to do away with capitalism and move us into, just, you know, this new world economic system that basically puts so much power in the hands of government and the corporations, it, it's so obvious too when you look at how they've
Yeah,
targeted all the
they've
small
gone for
businesses.
self-employed people,
So
haven't they? It's a lot less self-employed people now, I should think. I'm not working.
where you're at, you said that they're about to implement lockdowns again over there, or they already have?
They're starting
But
in November, I think, but they've done Manchester. They've gone for Manchester, and the mayor of Manchester said something the other day that they may take court action themselves. I sent you the video to that one.
yes.
But there's a three-phase lot. But somebody wrote, look, he's got a shark in the background. It's a load of rubbish, and he knows he won't be able to do anything. So I don't know about that. That's what one person put, but as a comment. But there's a 3-stage lockdown coming.
Right. Terrible. And what about you, Amy? Where are you at again in the world?
I'm in
Right.
Maryland, on the coast of United States. So yeah, so we have it's pretty much just the same stuff with the masks and all that. Don't think we're in any kind of lockdowns here per
Right.
se. Just the same old stuff with the masks and everything.
Oh, I know.
Yes.
Yeah.
We had a hangout the other day. Belarus is not going with the lockdown. They're staying out of it. They're not locking their country down. And Sweden's another one. And what it is they got paid. Belarus were going to be paid thousands or whatever it is to go in the lockdown. So all the countries that are accepting the lockdown have been paid to go in the lockdown.
But
yes, they are.
It was the United Nations, I think they said, was the ones that like bribed these countries to accept lockdown and everything. Yes.
Yep, that's absolutely true. It's all part of the United Nations Agenda 21 plan. This they back in 2005 they made this international health regulations that all of the signing on the United Nations member states, they all had to agree with these protocols around how they would tackle pandemic. And so this is going back decades, where they've created this infrastructure to kind of to move us further along on their agenda for new world order. And now it's all being pushed into existence even faster. And that's what they needed. They needed something to make this move faster, because they were losing ground, or not where they wanted to be in their agenda. And so COVID-19 was the perfect catalyst.
Well, do you know what I saw, Levana? I made a video of hurricanes that came in, and someone spotted that there was like this line sticking up, like it was coming from the cloud. And then this guy said, no, that's not sticking up, that's going across the land. And when he worked it out, they went from 4 bases, between 4 bases, the lines did. So that's one line went between 2 bases and one line went another. And when you looked on the heart map, those bases could be on the heart map lines, where they say that, how they join up HARP and that on that map.
Yeah.
And then what it was is, when you look at HARP, it says mind control, the weather, and they want a chip injection. So that's what it's about.
Yeah, definitely. I know. And that's the whole thing too, is a lot of this, severe weather, of course, that we see is all manufactured just so they can keep pushing this idea that the world is, at risk from climate change. And that's all a farce. And they've got their HARP and, they this technology, and it's not like it's hidden. It's just that people don't do their own research. They just don't think they need to look. That's the worst part about all of this, is how easily the mass majority are misled, because they don't realize that they have this kind of technology, they're using it, and they're creating this weather, and then trying to sell us this idea of climate change so they can push us into their new world order.
Exactly.
It's terrible.
Mind you, we're spinning through space and the weather's changing. I mean, nobody's even thought that we're going Mach 80 in 3 different directions through space, like constantly going on and on and on and on.
Right.
Well, that sounds stupid, doesn't it? So how does a weather system fit into that? where does the vacuum of space start if we're hurtling through space?
Oh, I know. Yeah, the whole idea of space, the you know, that there can be a vacuum at one point and then all of a sudden there isn't, like, it just doesn't even make sense. I know.
And
Yeah,
those things
and that,
going round us and following us, you know, like, it just wouldn't, you know, we wouldn't see a globe going round and round without some problems and issues or some things going on, because obviously we're hurtling through space. You don't see anything.
right.
Yeah,
They
I
managed
know.
to
They like
fool
to use,
millions of people with it, and that's what they're still doing with everything else they're doing.
Yeah.
yes, yes, indeed. I know. You see the globe propaganda everywhere all the time, and you know, it's crazy how easily people are manipulated just by, you know, being shown something. Child, you know, you're shown these cartoons and stuff, and nobody ever stops to really, you know, evaluate the validity of it, and when, and yeah, and experiments and look at all of the data that does exist, you know, there is no actual proof that it even is. So
And mind control.
right,
Well, the global thing is a
yes,
business, isn't it? That's why the global thing is all a big business.
I
Yeah.
know.
That's all
Yep,
it
it
is.
is. Yeah, I was gonna say too, the whole mask propaganda thing too, that's more, you know, propaganda that people, you know, don't realize they're falling victim to. Like over here, they just put up a big banner right by our airport that says Kauai is a mask wearing community. If you don't,
Oh,
if you don't comply with this, then you don't love your community and you want people to die, and it's yeah, it's
yeah.
terrible.
Yes, I was just telling Karen that earlier. I said they're making us feel guilty and that we're terrible people who don't care about other people if we don't want to wear a mask. It's just really a psychological
Yep,
thing that they're doing to us. It's
yep,
really
it's psychological
horrific.
warfare, as they call it.
Yes,
Absolutely, it's terrible.
it
And then
is.
meanwhile, we've got all kinds of you know, doctors, all kinds of evidence coming forward, doctors speaking out, you know, that the mask wearing does absolutely nothing to prevent any spread of a virus. If anything, it promotes, if you even believe in the germ theory, but if anything, it would promote, you know, the contamination, people touching the mask constantly, you know, and um, there was a study that was just put out too by the CDC that some diligent mask wearers. And so there's a major connection right there that most likely bacteria in bacterial infections or whatever, and that's what's registering as a positive COVID-19 test.
I think
Because
we didn't do something they wanted. I think when they went for the lockdown, because thousands of people every day were going to casualty and waiting 4 hours to see a doctor, even though they told us to stay at home, I think they still thought people would go to the hospitals, and we didn't. We
yeah,
couldn't get their numbers because we never went to the hospitals.
Right.
that is so true. I know. And you know what gets me too is that the whole lockdown and social distancing and all of that was supposed to be temporary. It was supposed to be, in the very beginning, it was supposed to be just to flatten the curve, as they
Oh,
said, right? And so that our healthcare system wouldn't be overwhelmed. But you know, the curve never happened. It still hasn't happened, and it's become so obvious, you know, that our healthcare system is not being overwhelmed, and yet it still continues. And all these hospitals were empty. Do you guys like?
Yeah, they were
I
empty.
remember how many
Yeah,
videos.
they were empty here.
I know. It's, yep, nobody was even going to get regular stuff done, or, you know, elective surgeries and things like that, because they were afraid they might get COVID, or just for whatever reason, because they didn't want to, yeah, they didn't want to add to the stress. But then it turns out all these people were getting laid off, all these healthcare workers, you know, were out of work.
Yes, that's right.
I know, it just blows my mind, though, that we're so far into this and we haven't seen any evidence. We haven't seen any actual evidence that there really is a serious health emergency, and yet all of this continues. And that's like, I mean, that's just evidence right there that basically, you know, these people orchestrated
what happens
this.
when we're years into this?
I know, that's the plan too. They do intend for this to go on for years. There was a document where the World Bank was talking about their program to combat COVID-19, and it has like an ending date of 2025. So they expect this to go on for 5 years.
You know what? That all matches up with the stars. So it's actually, whatever's happening, it's not what they say it is, it's the stars doing a cleanse. And the cleanse is about you as a person. Like most of us have got, like, don't even read that year, 2025. That's when the stars do other things, but we've got to get there. That's another 4 or 5 years. Like, oh my God.
I know, it's terrible. I know, I don't want to even have to think that that's really how it's going.
And also, people don't realize if we've got no money now, how are we going to buy cars and clothes and furniture and holidays? That keeps these economies going. So I just don't know why they're doing this. They're shutting down. You know, we were consumers. So if you shut all that down, how do they make any money?
Right. I know. Well, yeah, it's going to be a complete shift in the way that the way things are operate, you know, economically. They want to do digital currency is what it is. They want to like collapse the dollar, and then, you know, and then create this new currency. And I see it. They're trying to turn it into something like how they're doing in China, and you get credits based on how well you behave and how much you comply with all of the rules and regulations that the government puts on you. It's crazy.
It's really weird because if you're in America, you know, you don't get the feeling that Donald Trump likes Trump. That's what we'll probably having. You know, they'll probably insist on us.
I know. I agree. Yeah, you know, honestly, with the thing that gets me is the whole political side of all this too, and how, you know, so many people are convinced that everything's going to be better once, you know, the election is over, and as long as Trump wins, that we're going to be okay. And I honestly see it all as just, you know, political theater, just to keep the people distracted and fighting amongst themselves, so that they don't really see what's happening. An end to this, you know, come November 3rd. And, you know, just to keep people stagnant, so that they're not really taking any serious action. I mean, so, you know, I don't really do politics. I really believe it's just two wings of the same bird, and that they work together to distract and divide the people. But at the same time, it's, I don't know, we'll see. I mean, if Biden wins, that's going to be really bad, though. So,
did you hear about Biden, Levana? Because I see it's all part of the same thing. It's one great big program. The media are just putting out the politics, which is the lies, and they're all using each other to do it to us. But Biden, Amy, you tell Levana.
Yeah, do you remember? I think it was when it was the impeachment hearings against Trump, and I believe it involved that scandal with the Ukraine.
right.
So Trump was saying, you know, you need to be looking at Joe Biden and his son. So now, yesterday, I believe it came out that that what Trump was saying was true, that it was Biden and his son, Am I explaining that right, Karen? That
Yeah,
they
and all this,
Yep.
you're like, well, why would you want him as your president? Mind you, I suppose most people don't realise that Donald Trump was a WWE wrestler.
He was, right?
I know.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about though. The money from the Ukraine and stuff, that actually is totally unconstitutional too, because Joe Biden was vice president, and it says right in our constitution that nobody, an elected official, isn't allowed to accept gifts from foreign nations, and yet that's exactly what he did. So
That's right.
yeah, very interesting. Well, so wait a minute. Trump was a
So the only option you've got is Trump, emperor savior.
yeah, right. I feel for these people that are kind of stuck on this idea that Trump is going to save the world.
Oh,
Yeah, it's very bizarre, that whole train of thought. Just, it kind of boggles my mind. I've tried to understand it, and I guess in a way it's almost like a religion. It's almost, that they have this,
yeah,
this power that's gonna save them, and it's the only way for them to deal with it, I think. I don't know, it's
But I
interesting.
don't think it would really matter whether you got Biden or you got Trump. It's still the
Yeah,
same structure. It's still
yeah,
the same thing.
that's the way I view it, to be honest. Unfortunately, that our world is controlled by bigger, more powerful, hidden hand,
yeah,
people that are really pulling the strings behind the curtain, and that's, they have an agenda. And yeah, these leaders in different countries, they're just puppets,
yeah,
they're just talking heads. Yeah,
yeah. Levana, what did you think about President Trump testing positive? You know,
I
Oh yeah, and
know.
he
the
was over it in a couple of days. Yeah, we have to go down to
Uh-huh.
lockdown for 2 weeks, but he was over it in a couple of days.
I know, I think it's ridiculous, and honestly, I still don't understand exactly why that even happened. But I mean, I don't know if it was planned happening, just because the testing is so flawed. And I don't know, I part of me thinks that it was completely made up for one reason or another. But I can't quite put my finger on
right,
exactly why. I was that he would get treated with the hydroxychloroquine or something, and then that would be, I don't know. To be honest with
yeah.
you,
And
I'm not sure about that one.
He's
I just
re-explained
knew it
that
was
I'm all
something
right, and he's
big.
back out and he's rallying and doing all that. And yeah, they've just changed the narrative in front of us.
Exactly. Yes, I
And
know, they
nobody
keep
goes,
doing that.
hang on a minute, something's wrong here, because they locked us down for
You're right.
6 months, but
I
he's
know.
allowed to go out after a
Yeah,
couple of days.
Right.
exactly. I know. It doesn't. No. Did you know that one of our mayors, the mayor of Honolulu, he actually said that it doesn't matter if any of it makes sense, that you would just have to comply. He actually like
Oh,
said those words.
wow.
I know. It's amazing. It's so amazing, and that's what they are expecting the people to do. They take us as fools, like, and sadly, most people do look at this stuff and think to themselves, well, yeah, it doesn't make sense, but we have to just, we have to be obedient, and our government said we have to do this, so I don't want to get in trouble.
Right.
um so that's the thing,
You know
people are
something else
not
as well.
willing to.
I've been putting a few videos out on the channel because just some things have happened around me and Amy, but it wasn't even that.
Yeah,
A lot of the society into narcissists. Narcissists only care about themselves. It's actually, you can't go and get treated for it the same. But
right.
those people are like tornadoes with millions of problems, addictions. They don't care about you. They're going to do things in certain structures. That's the really weird thing, is that there's a pattern. They'll love bomb you. Then the next person, in fact, they've usually got the next person lined up while they're with you, the source. And it's so structured. But it's just, it happens exactly the way they're explaining, where people are doing. It must be what we're watching on the television in those programs.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, the television absolutely is the most effective tool at maintaining the illusions in this world, and that's a huge part of it. That's their major weapon. It's like, as long as the population continues to believe that what they're seeing on their television is the truth, as long as they have that faith and belief, they can put whatever they want on the TV and the people will believe it. And it's so easy for people to be manipulated when they don't see it for what it is.
I don't think people realize,
and all of Hollywood,
it's like an octopus with 1,000 legs on it, and you've got the COVID thing, you've got narcissism, you've got the television, the media, you've got all the stories, you've got this, you've got the lie about history, lie about medication, education, and it just goes on.
Yes.
There's never an end and a beginning, but it's there.
I know, exactly, right? So I don't know if I told you, but we finally got a date for our court hearing.
To have this hangout, so that you're going to tell us. Yes, we were waiting for someone else. If they turn up, that's great, but carry on.
Oh yeah, no, I was just going to say that I'm really excited. We have an attorney that's representing us in a state court, and we're challenging the governor's orders based on the fact that the Hawaii state law has a provision written into the emergency, the chapter on emergencies, where it says that there is a 60-day time limit, and that any emergency order automatically expires after 60 days. And those are the words that are written into the law. And so we're challenging, the legality of the emergency orders based on that. And unfortunately, we've had other lawsuits that had the same argument, that even though it may seem like the law is written a certain unambiguous way that would claim that that's true, because of the state of emergency, basically they throw the law to the side. And so we're ready to argue that that statistically there is no data to back up this idea that there's an actual emergency. And so November 17th, we finally get to have our lawsuit heard in court, and we just are really hoping that we get a fair judge, and that our lawyer is going to really stick it to them as far as the statistical data, to prove that there's no emergency. So and then the other thing is that I'm actually working with a lawyer. She's not a complaint for federal court that I'm going to represent myself on, and it's a big project, and I'm a little bit nervous, but she's going to help me put it all together, pinpoint the mask mandate, and argue that the mask mandate is totally unconstitutional, and that so I have two irons in the fire right now, and hopefully I might actually be able to even get into the courtroom before November 17th on the federal. I'm going to try to put in a request for speech issued, and it's just like, basically what my argument is going to be is that it is abridging my freedom of speech. It's abridging my speech because it literally to effectively communicate with people, because you can't there your actual voice, the sound of your voice is stifled, and you can't communication is actually seeing somebody's mouth moving when they're talking. And so it's totally abridging freedom of speech. And in that case, if the fundamentation is being violated, then the government has to prove that there is a compelling interest to violate that right. And then they also have to prove that there isn't a less restrictive way of achieving the same goal, more effective way, because the masks are causing more harm than good, and there is no proof that they actually limit the spread of COVID-19. And so based on all that data, you know, I'm really hoping that I might be able to.
Also, Levana, not even identified
Right.
it
Oh,
yet.
COVID-19, right.
What it is.
I know.
Yeah, they don't even.
Yes,
Yeah,
that is so true.
Yeah, I was watching the document. I think it was from the CDC, and it basically is stating in there that they've never isolated the virus. So, but that
Yep.
sounds brilliant. What you've got going on, Levana. I pray
Thank
that
you.
it goes great and goes well. That is
Yeah,
Right.
congratulations and well done, you warrior, you.
Yeah,
Yes.
right. I know. Thank you. I know. I encourage other people to do the same. It's like I have no legal background, and you know, but that's the thing. It's like we just have to take that risk and just do what we can to try to, you know, to wherever we can to fight back against this. And like, you know, if people want to reach out to me, I will help them in any way I can and paste. And you know, but that's what I feel is like we have to start flooding the court systems.
Right.
It's going to push it to a place where there was another lawyer who said something like, we have to make it too expensive for them to keep lying. You know, like when the cost of them trying. Yeah.
There is a set of solicitors now coming together, like Solicitors for Truth sort of thing about it. Have you heard of that?
The Doctors for Truth, or you mean
solicitors? So obviously, because these solicitors need to take the government to court.
Yeah, I heard something about that. Yes.
Right. Well, then we've got this Rainer Fulmick. He's the attorney in Germany, and he's licensed in California. And this crimes against humanity lawsuit that he's bringing is huge. I'm so hopeful about that. It might take a while for it to actually happen, but he's going for the whole enchilada. And that's what needs to happen is, you know, exposing the conspiracy and collusion between CDC and Bill Gates and the World Health Organization and all of these criminals that are really behind this. That's what really needs to happen. So that's a really big one.
Yes, I had seen about that, and I wasn't sure, you know, how powerful he could be or whatever.
Yeah.
But you have a lot of faith in that, Levana.
Yeah. Well, he seems like the right person for the job, though. I guess he's gone up again. So I mean, you know, he's got some power behind him, some, you know, I think he knows what he's doing. So we'll see. It's exciting stuff.
Yes.
But
do you think it's some kind of like this whole thing that they're doing to us is some like stock take or something?
A stock take?
Well, you know, like if you go to why you've got to be locked down for 2 weeks, it's almost like they want to know where everybody's going, what everybody's doing.
Oh yeah, of course. It's all about,
you know, like, because I felt that when they did it the first time, It was as if we were being taken over by something else. And then Elon Musk has bought into it. So in a sense, NASA's not running everything, I don't think now, but then they were into cognitive engineering, and that's other, what do you call them, like NASA, those bodies that you know, Elon Musk is part of space program of his own. Like they've all, have we been taken over by a different set of people? And they're trying to do something like stop.
I know
Yeah.
it sure feels that way.
It
I
does.
know. Well, you know,
Levana, can you explain what the going to court's all about? What you're doing by going to court?
Yeah, well, so well, I've got the two different cases. So the one that's going to be heard in state court, we're going to have a bar attorney represent us. So she'll be presenting everything for us. And you know, so that right there, we're hoping to just isolate the issue of the legality. And then in that case, it's not even going to be so much just arguing the fact that, you know, that the law was written a certain way through a legislative process works, and the way that it's been going, we've been allowing for the governor to just keep issuing supplemental proclamations one and if we don't put a stop to the dictator indefinitely, like there has to be some kind of line drawn. And like that's why we have, you know, like in our state constitution where it outlines the separation of powers and how, you know, in order for something to become a long-term policy, there has to be a legislative process that takes place, because the, you know, the people have a voice, and we are the ones that get to, you know, have a say in how laws are made. You know, that's democracy, right? But they're totally subverting the will of the people by continuing to just allow the governor to go on and on with these supplemental proclamations. So the state case is going to challenge that, and then when I go for the federal, you know, that's going to be an argument that you know, that all of this is unconstitutional and needs to be struck down because it's unconstitutional, and that the only way a government can ever you know, be allowed to infringe upon is, like I said, if they can pass what's called strict scrutiny. And that means that it has to be narrowly tailored, and there has to be a very compelling, you know, the people's rights. And when you look at all the data, it doesn't exist. There's no way that they can pass the strict scrutiny. And so, you know, essentially it needs to be struck down. If our, you know, if our judicial system is at all functioning like it's supposed to, then it should be done. It should be done already. And that's the thing. It's just about, you know, more and more people getting in there in Michigan and Pennsylvania. There's a big lawsuit being heard right now in of the fraud. So I feel like it's only a matter of time, and it's just you know, the more lawsuits, the more we shift the perception, and hopefully we get a win.
Oh, yes.
The most craziest thing we've been put in, we're actually watching it happen. I know you're doing something about it, Levana, but most of us just watching, knowing. I mean, even a friend who I haven't spoken to for a while, I went on holiday with her, I met her, I stay in touch with her. She wrote back about it all, saying what a load of rubbish, you know. So she's nothing to do with me. She's not a flat earther. She's just somebody I met on holiday. Even she knows. So most people know there's something wrong, and then everybody's just sitting there watching it all. I'm just like, wow. Most people, a lot of people believe it, don't they?
I know. Yes, it's true. And that's out of people that see what's happening and they know it's not right and they don't agree with it, but they feel they don't have any power, any real power to do anything about it. And that's where I am trying to empowerment, and really it's all about education. It's like once you get yourself educated, that's where you find power in, knowledge is power, as they say. And that's why
I knew day one it was a load of rubbish. Day one.
Right. But yeah, again, like we're the 99%. That's all it takes is people just, seeing it for what it is, refuse to play their games, then it's over. It's only because we comply and we acquiesce to their agenda that it continues. And it's really just as simple as people changing their mind, the perception. It's not so much about what is and what isn't.
And once you see it, you can't go back and pretend it's not the way you now see it. Once you see it, because we don't see what they're telling us.
Yes,
once you see it, and of course me, it's the footage. I break the footage down. Once you see it, you can't pretend that it's any other way than it is. Can't.
Yeah, absolutely. I know, it's so amazing. I remember when I first discovered, that we'd been lied to about what our Earth is, and I started to look at life, through the eyes of like, wow, we really are just stationary, and this is all there really is. It brings your whole focus of reality like closer to home, where you feel a sense of power, because the world isn't this tiny speck in anymore. Like you have purpose. And I think that's a big part of the deception, is to take people away from their understanding of their true power.
Right, we were talking to Mike Helmick the other day, and about when the lava flows happened, that happened because they reversed the magnetic thing. So say it was pointing south, it pointed north. They reversed the magnetic field, and then you got all those volcano thing, whatever a volcano is, or the lava's coming from. But that's what happened there.
Interesting. I hadn't heard that one before, but
hang out. There was actually. He explained it in the.
Interesting. I might check that one out. They definitely have the ability to manipulate things like earthquakes and lava flows and stuff through scalar wave technology.
Yeah, and that comes from Antarctica. Those scalar waves, they come from Antarctica, which is probably another reason we can't go there.
I know, exactly. That's so true. That most people don't even question that, like why there's this treaty. It's the only treaty that's been signed by so many different countries to not allow for exploration of Antarctica. Like why? Why is that? What are they trying to hide?
Like if you went to Everest and someone said it's for thousands of miles, people could believe it. But Everest is in a hot country. So is the Andes with that mountain range, and the Alps. I know it doesn't ice up in the summer, but in the winter it's all covered in ice. And we're a few hundred miles over there. There's a beach you could go and sit on. I don't know, but something's not right there, is it? I mean, really not right.
Really. Yes. If you think about it, there's probably so much in this life, in this world, that has been, just completely, there's so much that's been hidden from the people. We really, if you look at it, you start to everything in our history has been a lie. And it's all just to keep, this keep the illusions alive, in the minds of the people, so that we can be controlled.
Even down to this bit, then you've got the Ottoman Empire, which went for thousands of years, but at the same time we've got Tartaria, which they were in. So obviously the Ottoman Empire must be the end of Tartaria, like the last part of Tartaria. Why couldn't they just tell us this thing? Why do they have to make it all up?
I know. Yeah,
it's just, it boggles your mind that they want to do this to keep us, like, what a project it's been for them.
I know.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. So much deception. And it's amazing. But I really do feel like we're in the middle of the Great Awakening, and that the veil is lifting, and people really are waking up. You know, more and more shift into a new perception where people understand just how oppressed and lied to we've been, and we take our power back. And who knows, you know, it's like even though things seem so bad, it's like you know, that saying, like it has, it's always darkest before the
Yeah.
dawn, and like you know, it has to get worse before it can get better. But that we're on the brink of a whole new world of, you know, a whole new reality and a whole new existence in this life, where we, you know, are perfect ecosystems and yeah.
Right.
So we have to just
Yeah.
remain hopeful.
This bit with the court bit, what's the next stage for you then?
So yeah, so for me, as far as with the federal documents printed out and filed with the court, and then they will give me a court hearing. So it's probably going to have to be in Honolulu. I'm pretty sure that's where, yeah, that's where the federal district court is. So I'm going to have to travel over there for that. But we'll see how that goes, because with
If they go for a lockdown, what does that mean for it all?
Yeah,
Just
that's the thing.
asking.
I'm guessing that what they've been doing is having hearings done by like a Zoom conference, you know, over the internet. So I might I might have to wind up doing it, you know, by teleconference. But and you know what? There's a very good chance that we are going to actually wind up in a lockdown again soon, unless something gives. But like the fact that they're reopening for tourism, and with all of this massive testing going on, they're going to get their positive tests, and the numbers are just going to keep going up and going
With
up.
that though, listen, when they shut us down, the whole world shut down overnight. But now they're
Yeah,
picking specific areas. How can that be? If there's a problem in Manchester, surely the whole of England has to shut down, like now, because it just does, like before. But they're not. They've changed the narrative
exactly.
again.
I know. It makes no sense at all. It really doesn't. But I found a document where the Rockefeller Foundation has this plan for, they want to distribute 500 million COVID tests by 2021, the middle of the year 2021. That's their plan. And basically, I feel like all of the so the Rockefeller Foundation actually has this project called 100 Resilient Cities. And so there's 100 cities that have signed on with the Rockefeller Foundation. And this is all under Agenda 20. It's like all of the cities that have signed on under the Rockefeller 100 Resilient Cities, those are the same places where there's massive testing going on, and you see these increase in numbers. So you can kind of connect the dots. But that's what they're doing. They're using the testing as a weapon in order to create this illusion that, you know, that there's this sickness, when, you know, most people don't even understand that a positive test doesn't even mean that you're sick or that you're contagious.
Exactly.
It's just, yeah, it's just a
Well, there was
positive
that
test.
country, didn't they? They tested a plant, an animal, and something else, and they all
Oh
came back
yeah.
supposedly.
Yep, yep.
A
Was that
papaya
Belarus?
or
Was that
something.
Belarus?
No,
Or was
that
that
was
quite...
Tanzania.
Yes. Tanzania.
Tanzania.
Yes, that's right.
Don't you
Yeah.
find it a bit frightening when all these countries got paid to go into lockdown? I just
Oh
don't
yeah.
understand why people.
Yeah, there's so much financial incentive. There's also
And if the media were real, they would be finding these things out for us, but they're not. And we know from, I can't remember what her name's, Amber Lyons comes. That's what I think her name is. Her name's Amber.
yeah.
2 years ago, can you make the news for us?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's
And
terrible.
that
I
she was
know.
real.
They don't want us to know the truth.
She was
Yeah.
real, because she came on talking about don't do this to Bahrain and all that, and then she turned it into she was anti the rest of Europe. You know, I mean Middle East. So I couldn't work out what her aim really was.
I know, right?
You
I
don't
don't
know
know, but Karen, I've gotta get going though, but so I'll just say before I sign off though that I appreciate you having me come on, and it's always good to chat with you. And yeah, it's for people to just stay hopeful. You know, I feel like
Okay.
the perception is shifting, and we're gonna get there. We're gonna win this fight.
Yeah, and you know what, your bit with
Great.
Facebook, they don't, you know, Facebook are part of it, even YouTube's part of it. They're only watching the people. They're not watching these people who are lying to us. So they're part of it.
Yeah.
Yes, they are. Yeah, the censorship is so bad right now. And they disabled my mail champ because of me sending emails filled with, you know, links to the truth,
Yes.
and they claim that I violated their terms of service. It's
Well,
unbelievable.
Sorry
So
about that. I suppose if we're going to try and change the world, then it wasn't going to be easy, was it, from that global thing?
right.
I know. Yes, we do have our work cut out for us, but you know what? Like I said, it's all about just, you know, people coming together, getting educated, and, you know, realizing knowledge is power, and empowering one another and supporting one another. The power, we just need to recognize it. So,
Yeah, well,
but
thank you very much,
yeah,
a very
Thank you
busy
so much,
lady, warrior, for
Levana,
spending the
for all
time with
you're
us.
doing.
Oh, sorry, Amy,
Thank
finish. You go first, Amy.
Oh, I just wanted to say thank you so much, Levana, for all of your activism of what you're doing. It is wonderful. I just thank you so much. Uh,
yeah,
I really applaud you.
you're very welcome. Thank
Yeah,
you, Amy. I appreciate your support, and
No,
your
you're
guys'
welcome.
love and encouragement always helps.
yeah.
Oh,
Thank
yeah.
you, Lavana, because
Thank
obviously
you.
there's not many people doing what you're doing.
Yes, I don't know how I do it, but somehow I find the strength and I stand
Oh,
up for those who can't. So
yes.
that's my purpose in life.
God bless you. You're just awesome. Oh,
Thank you, Amy.
you're welcome, Levana.
What
Thank
I'll do is,
you.
can we just say, we'll just say goodbye for the recording. Lavana, mwah, Amy, mwah,
Okay,
and the chat room. Thank you so much,
Yes,
you're
thank
Lavana.
welcome.
you.
Thank you.